When you think of plastic litter, you probably do not think of cigarette butts. Because if you do not smoke, you might not even realize that the woven filters of cigarettes are made of plastic, not from fabric or cotton as they might initially appear. This makes smoked cigarette butts one of the worst plastic pollution offenders, beating out plastic bags and straws. These fuzzy little bits of cellulose acetate are such a common form of litter, in fact, that human smoking habits may be butting into the lives of local wildlife, especially in cities. In particular, many common songbirds have fallen afoul of our nicotine addiction. Urban songbirds have had to learn to make do in some very unnatural conditions. Just consider the bright lights at night, reflective glass, and constant noise prevalent in big cities and even in suburban neighborhoods. Birds are not perfect at dealing with all of these modern inconveniences. Windows and lighting do cause a lot of bird-building collisions. But birds can be resourceful creatures, and city litter has increased the amount and kinds of material available for them to build their nests. Flexibility in nest construction materials means a songbird parent-to-be can use twigs, grass, and yes, even fluffy cigarette butt fibers to keep eggs and chicks cozy and safe. While parents provide insulating warmth to their offspring, nests are constructed to provide both warmth and safety, away from predators, secure on a branch, and safe from other pests like ticks and mites, too. Some species, like house sparrows and house finches, add a special lining to their nests made of plants specifically known to repel parasites. Good job, mamas! Fewer parasites could mean healthier chicks, so it's an evolutionarily smart move. And it turns out that city birds might be deliberately choosing used cigarettes for the same pest-repelling reason. Sounds gross, but it could be a really beneficial move to make the most of these construction materials readily available. Tobacco is well known to have anti-pest properties. This built-in chemical feature protects the plant leaves from herbivorous bugs. It's not just plant pests it works against either. Nicotine specifically is created by plants to deter pests in that it just happens to have an effect on our bodies. But also there may be other compounds in tobacco that are great at deterring biting insects like ticks as well. Cedar, lemongrass, and citronella are other examples of plants with well-established pest-repelling properties that you and the wild birds might be more familiar with. Songbirds have long known what bug spray companies have had to use science to figure out. Our city-dwelling birdies seem to have adapted to using tobacco-laced cigarette butts for this same pesticide property. In one study, researchers showed that nests made of smoked butts hosted fewer parasites than nests made of unsmoked butts. Smoked cigarette butts seem best for warding off parasites because they're full of these alkaloid compounds. Researchers think the birds could be using smell to identify the ideal material to use in their nests. It's pretty smart, really, for them to use an existing adaptive behavior and adjust it to ensure reproductive success in the big city. But this begs the question, is a mite-free nest worth the cost of the cigarettes? To answer that, we need to know if tobacco is as bad for birds as it is for people. I hate to interrupt you when you're in the middle of learning stuff online, unless it is to tell you about other ways you can keep learning online, like Arizona State University's College of Global Futures. That's where you can learn how to create a more equitable, sustainable, and promise-filled future for everyone, and you can do it all online. Their programs help people make a positive impact on the world with their careers. For example, you could prepare yourself for a future helping us all get what we eat in a more environmentally sustainable way with an online graduate certificate in food policy and sustainability leadership. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in regulating what we eat. In this graduate certificate, you'll learn about policymaking and how to navigate legislative, budgetary, and administrative governmental processes to transform food systems. So by the time it's over, you will feel more empowered to make real change. This certificate is a great launching point to work as a food systems policy analyst, a food safety and sustainability specialist, environmental impact analyst, or any number of other cool positions. Thanks to Arizona State University's College of Global Futures for supporting this video. Now let's get back to it. We do have some evidence that yes, exposure to chemicals from cigarettes is harmful to birds as well as humans. Cigarette filters, the plastic part that eventually becomes the spent butt, concentrate the harmful chemicals in smoked tobacco. The existence of filters is meant to help block or filter some of these chemicals from getting to the smoker. And when you use that stuff to build a nest, parents and chicks get direct exposure to those extra concentrated chemicals. We know that the compounds in cigarette smoke cause damage to DNA in humans. These compounds include nicotine, heavy metals, even cyanide. In humans, this damage can eventually lead to things like cancer in smokers. In chicks reared in nests made from cigarette butts and exposed to those compounds through their skin, we see evidence of DNA and red blood cell damage. But is it bad for the birds? As far as I know, they're not smoking the cigarettes. Another unfortunate twist here is that the damage isn't just dealt to the chicks. Parent songbirds, depending on how much time they spend on the nest, are also affected. In some species, like the house sparrow, males and females contribute about equally to nest building. A 2017 study found no difference in the amount of DNA damage between male and female parents. Whereas in house finches, the females spend more time building the nest and brooding chicks. The same study showed that they incur a higher amount of DNA damage than their male partners. It's like nature set up a natural experiment for us. What we don't know is if that damage impacts the mother's success at staying healthy enough to parent subsequent clutches. Small birds tend to have small lifespans, so them developing cancer in old age isn't likely because they're not gonna get to old age. Instead, we'll need more studies to also monitor chicks as they grow up, allowing scientists to study the effects over a generation or more of city-dwelling songbirds. So while it's kind of cool that urban animals have the behavioral flexibility to squeeze a benefit out of a cigarette filter, it's yet another reason to be mindful of how plastic pollution impacts wildlife in some really unexpected ways.